thing. Pro Tour Khans of Tarkir champion from the Michigan area. And he is boisterous on Twitter.
And also, one of our 3 losses at the Grand Prix.
Oh, man, you're right.
Keeping you without a qualification.
Arnold, come on. Forgot we played against them.
Yeah.
Who is the squad? Ari.
I don't know, some of his
No, I remember.
Some of his gold or platinum drifter buddies who I don't know.
Jacob Negro, who's really, really good from New Mexico, and Mark Jacobson.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Yeah, I remember. I think we got broomed that round.
That
was our 3rd loss, and he Niv Mizzet and explosion expansion you or whatever. Like,
yeah, it was not. Our games were not competitive.
Or expansion explosion. Yeah, I was looking over when I saw he cast Niv Mizzet, and I was like, come on, you were done so. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. We got a little dredge action taking place here for Kyle, who's going to play a Cathartic Reunion. Looks like he's going to discard a Stinky and a Stomping Ground. So he's doing it. We're going to dredge 5 here. Among those 5, I see Amalgam, Faithless Looting. Looks like another Stinky as well. So dredging 5 more. Kyle looks pretty comfortable in the chair with his dredge deck.
Yep.
Another Stinky, Shriekhorn. Going to dredge a 3rd Stinky. So this is a dredge 15. There's a Creeping Chill finally. Took him long enough. Pretty good dredge, but not like an insane dredge.
No,
it doesn't appear. Stinkweed Imps will stay in the hand. Ari's going to survey the graveyard. See exactly what Kyle Shull is working with, and now we're going to head back Ari's way. Ari started things off pretty modestly. Darksteel Citadel Forest, Hangerback Walker on 1, and Arcbound Worker. It is kind of interesting to see Arcbound Worker seeing play in Modern. It is good in this deck, even though it may not look all that powerful on the surface.
I mean, critical mass needed for Hardened Scales. Has a counter. It's an artifact. It's cheap. It's, not the most exciting card, but it kind of fits the bill for what this deck's about.
Life total is 22-17 right now in favor of Shull. He's going to do some work.
Going to work.
Now, what's interesting about this deck to me as well is that your best cards all cost 2 mana, so it's hard to double spell unless a Mox is involved a lot of the time. But Mox is a little bit difficult to turn on in this deck, where it's not difficult to turn on in traditional Affinity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you load up on Ornithopters and Memnites, you're sort of playing a different game here. The Hardened Scales deck kind of prefers to go Scales on 1 and then kind of wind up over turns 2, 3, and 4.
Lax will play an Animation Module and a Steel Overseer, so things will probably start to get out of control next turn, as long as Ari is able to make it to the next turn with this battlefield intact, which means that if you're Kyle, now would be a great time to dredge Conflagrate. 4 cards here, found a Conflagrate.
Yep, that's the prize here.
And he does have double red mana, of course, with multiple copies of Copperline Gorge. Now, if you're Ari, you're crossing your fingers and you're hoping he doesn't cast it, I suppose. But I've got a feeling he's...
I think he will cast it.
I think he will probably cast it. Kyle preparing to play a land for the turn. Looks like it's going to be a Gemstone Mine. 3 mining counters will be placed on the land. Looks like there will be a trigger for Bloodghast, which means there will be triggers for Amalgams as well. So Shull's draw here a lot better than what we saw in the last round from Jerry Thompson's opponent. There are the Amalgams. Bloodghast is already back on the battlefield. And now here is Conflagrate. Looks like 6 cards in hand. Shull's going to discard 5 of them. Looks like 3 to the creatures, 1 to each, 2 to Ari Lax's face, and Ari will get a Thopter from the Hangerback Walker dying, but his battlefield has been destroyed.
Shull looks very comfortable playing this deck.
I agree. Rarely do we see a dredge player not fan out the graveyard.
Yep.
An example, but it looks like Shull's decided, you know what, I don't need to do that. I know exactly what's going on down there as we work on getting Lax a Thopter token, and there it is. Nick Miller has joined the fray. For how long is the question, as there's a Horizon Canopy. Following up with an Arcbound Ravager, and Ari will pay 1 for the Servo token from Animation Module, a card that we'll take a moment to learn a little bit more about because there's a lot going on with that. Let me tell you.
Bit of an odd duck.
Yes. all of the modules are. This one, finding a home in Modern. It's a 1-mana artifact. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are placed on a permanent you control, like an Archbound Ravager entering the battlefield, you may pay 1. If you do, you get a servo. 3 and tap, choose a counter on target permanent or player. Give that permanent or player another counter of that kind.
Smooth.
Like butter. We'll see a Narcomoeba enter the battlefield there from a dredge. Shull beginning to tap some mana here. And it looks like he's going to flash back a copy of Faithless Looting as he's reaching for the graveyard. So he's looking to really load up the graveyard even more. Find some more copies of Creeping Chill or Narcomoeba as Stinkweed Imp. We'll dredge 5. There is a Narcomoeba. That'll be entering the battlefield, and there is a Creeping Chill. There'll be more dredging to take place here for Shull. It'll be another dredge 5. As Ari will clear up the battlefield a little bit here.
Just wants to separate the Narcomoebas that can attack this turn versus the ones that can't.
It'll be another copy of Creeping Chill. Now, what's interesting here is Ari's life total continues to dwindle thanks to Creeping Chill, and Shull's life total moves up to 27. Is that this game is looking not great, I will say, but maybe a Walking Ballista could get him back into it. Not entirely sure if that's the case, but it's the one card that could save Lax in a situation like this. As you see, he's going to line up the blockers. The Amalgams will be blocked. The others are going to come through. We'll see Archbound Ravager likely grow here in just a moment, as Lax will sacrifice the servo. Counter replaced on the Ravager, so then Ari can pay a mana and a life because it's Rising Canopy to make the Archbound Ravager bigger. So he gets to defeat one prize Amalgam. The other two will just be chump blocked and some damage will come across. At the end of this, Lax should probably end up at 3. 5 damage will come across, +1 from the Rising Canopy. Lax will draw, and he will concede the game, not finding the Walking Ballista that could potentially save him. So, Kyle Shull with a very impressive dredge draw that game, wins game number 1 over Ari Lax. Dredge very quickly up a game over Hardened Scales. As we turn our attention to the sideboards, we'll go with Ari first. He's got 4 Damping Spheres, 4 Nature's Claims, 3 Tormod Scripts, 2 Evolutionary Leaps, and 2 Dismember.
I would just bring in the 3 Crypts and call it a day.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Nothing too crazy here. Nature's Claim not going to do a ton here. Damping Sphere not really for this matchup. Evolutionary Leap probably too slow. And then Dismember, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't really kill this stuff.
Yeah, I think Ari probably just sides out some of his one-ofs like the Mirsh's Bauble, the Evolutionary Leap much too slow. Maybe a land, maybe a copy of Animation Module. Module can run out of control, though, in certain games, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him leave it in.
I think the Welding Jars are not great here, too.
I disagree.
Just post-board, he's got enough shatters.
I think that you need to be able to fight off cards like Conflagrate in some fashion.
Okay.
And keep your most important permanents like a Steel Overseer alive. So, also, it's one of the few ways that you really have explosive Mox Opal draws.
Sure. I guess my hope is that the mixture of Hardened Scales and Module is enough to mitigate Conflagrate, but maybe not. And maybe he just needs to keep all the 0s and 1s in his deck to be as fast as possible.
For Kyle Shull, it's 3 Nature's Claims, 3 Ancient Grudges. That's a lot of artifact hate. 3 Assassin's Trophies counts as well. 2 Lightning Axe, 2 Damping Spheres, a Dark Blast, and a Conflagrate. He's got a lot of stuff to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, you could justify a lot in here. The Conflagrate, the Dark Blast, the Lightning Axes, the Assassin's Trophies, Ancient Grudges, and Nature's Claims are all justifiable. I think the top 6 are pretty easy here. You want to blow up the artifacts, you want to blow up the enchantments, pretty straightforward. Past that, he can bring in more removal if he wants to, and it's just how much space does he have. If you get rid of the Creeping Chills, that frees up 4 slots, and then past that, you're starting to look at either dredgers or things that get dredge cards in your graveyard. It's uncomfortable cutting either, so we'll see. Shull's got, if anything, too many good options to bring in.
Yeah, there's the potential for Shull to over a sideboard here where he doesn't need that much removal. I think Claims and Grudges are pretty obvious, and those should come in. Assassin's Trophy, I'm not in love with it. I think it's a little expensive. Don't really need that kind of thing. But I do like the additional copy and Conflagrate, and I do kind of like Dark Blast here. So that could be 8 cards that are coming in.
Yeah,
you know?
And where do you find the space for it? It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
So those are the options there. Kyle did look pretty smooth in the box there in game number 1, so I imagine he's probably played this matchup a time or two. We'll see how he elects the sideboard. But while those players work on that, we're going to talk about SCG Game Night as we're closing out 2018 here. It means we're working ourselves into 2019 and some new kits and toys for you local players.
Yeah, you can head over to go.starcgames.com/game night to find out more information. The short of it is every month we come out with new kits. We send to the stores that are signed up for Game Night. And then from there, stores can run Game Night however they want to, any day of the week. anytime. Just get players in the store on a regular basis for some fun and friendly Magic. We're in December right now. Bramble Hopper Elite, last kit in 2018, then we head to 2019. A little bit of a change to the program. We'll be having sleeves in the pack going forward in 2019 with Purdue,
there you go. Hadouken.
And February.
Did you ever play as oh, wow.
No.
Look at this.
Yeti, steady, go. That's pretty good. Go to StarCityGames.com/game night. Find the game night closest to you in stores if you want to get signed up. Contact your Star City Games in-store play representative. No, so Street Fighter 2 I played a lot of.
Okay.
I was working at an office where there was a Street Fighter 2 machine a couple of years ago. I played as Balrog.
Okay.
Only punches.
You fire up the electricity and the rolling ball?
I went to a barcade in Santa Monica when I was living in Los Angeles, or somewhere in LA.
Sure.
I think maybe in Koreatown.
Okay.
Where it was something like out of a movie where there's a Street Fighter. It's an arcade where there's a Street Fighter 2 arcade machine, and there's like a packed group of people watching.
Love it.
With a huge television overhead showing.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a run with Balrog, who's like by far the worst character.
Okay.
That I got an ovation and backpats walking out of the pit after I lost.
Wow.
It was an inspiring Balrog performance.
That's good to hear, man.
No kicks. No kicks. I don't even want to move.
Yeah. Turtling up. Make him come to you.
Yeah.
Make him come in.
Yeah.
See what's going on with
Keep
Balrog.
the gloves up.
That's right.
Yeah.
See what's going on there. Excuse me, with Blanca, not Balrog. Wait, you said
Balrog.
Sorry, my bad. I was thinking Blanca for some reason. Balrog. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Balrog is clearly my favorite character.
He's awesome.
Obviously. I was very fixated on Blanca. Sorry.
No, Blanca has, like, moves.
Yeah.
You had to learn.
Yeah.
I was not into that.
But Balrog, he does a lot of damage. Those punches, they hurt.
Yeah.
They hurt. These players taking a look at their opening hands. We are underway. Well, we're going to work it. Kyle on 6 cards, but this is a deck that, of course, does mulligan pretty well. There is a Blood Crypt into a Faithless Looting, a very, very powerful start. So Shull will draw 2. He'll be discarding 2. At least one of them will probably be a Stinkweed Imp since he just picked up a copy of that. And it'll be a Stinky and a Bloodstained Mire, Lax with a Forest, a Tormod's Crypt, a Steel Overseer. That's the Ari Lax passing the turn, I know.
Yeah.
Feeling good about things with that Crypt.
And not going to, much like we saw from Thompson last round, probably not going to pull the trigger on the Tormod's Crypt until Shull is threatening to return creatures out of the graveyard.
An Ancient Grudge is in the graveyard now.
I might want to hit it now if he can't flash back the Grudge.
Well, we can Ari can stop him in the draw step and say, look, you don't have green mana. Let me take care of this Grudge right now. There is the potential for that. Well, it looks like that will not occur. So, there's a Copperline Gorge. This is a Grudge. That'll take care of the Steel Overseer. We'll go back over to Ari. Darksteel Citadel, in for one with the Worker. The follow-up is another Overseer and an animation module. Now things can get really out of control. You're reaching for your Stamper because
3 or more historic cards played in one turn. Darksteel Citadel plus the 2 artifacts.
That counts. That counts. Well done. I will hit mine as well because I have a player who controls 5+ artifacts or enchantments.
Mm-hmm.
Hit me. Another Grudge.
Interesting here, Lax's position, I think, pretty clearly that he's not going to pull the trigger on this Tormod's Crypt over a couple shatters. Shull can do that sort of thing. He's going to save it for when Shull is threatening to do either a lot with some creatures or maybe a Confligate he can't really handle.
Well, here goes Animation Module.
Going off.
He's going to activate that to put another counter on the Worker, and now he's going to make a Servo and get in here for 2 points of damage. And Ari's last card in hand is just a Forest. So not the most explosive of draws here from Lax in these 2 games. We haven't seen Stirrings. We haven't seen Opal. We haven't seen Ballista. We haven't seen Hardened Scales. The reasons to play this deck have not shown up, but you know what? He's got a Tormod's Crypt.
A little bit of pressure.
Yeah.
If Shull's ever threatening to do anything substantive, Lax can probably cut him off with the Tormod's Crypt.
Now let's go over to Lax. Excuse me, to Shull. That'll be a mountain here for Kyle. Now your play is a Cathartic Reunion. Discard Stinkweed. Now remember, discarding is part of the cost on Cathartic Reunion. And Ari says, that's fine, you can dredge. So, dredge 5. Bloodghast, Narcomoeba, Conflagrate, Prized Amalgam. Remember, all of the dredging and the drawing takes place first, then you resolve all of those triggers. So I think we're going to see Ari say, okay, it's time for that graveyard to go.
Yep. Shull getting a Conflagrate plus threatening to get back some Amalgams, that's enough for Lax.
The follow-up is a Faithless Looting. Shull's ready to go again, though. So he'll draw 2, and it's time to discard 2 cards. Stinkies, plural, are going to head to the graveyard. So Shull's going to be able to rebuild a graveyard here, and it's going to be on Lax to find a good draw step now. Remember, Lax started the turn with a Forest in hand. He's going to Animation Module, make the worker a little bit larger, and now coming across here for 4 points of damage. It's actually going to be a Blinkmoth Nexus, so he's going to keep that Forest past the turn back. Blinkmoth Nexus being a flyer could be important here, as Shull is going to dredge 5 cards. Ancient Grudge among them. He's found all 3 this game. Life in the Loam also. Now Grudge not great against the worker, given modular. It's worth noting.
I don't know how much Shull has. I'm really not in his deck at this point, but I'm really not into seeing Creeping Chill post-board.
No.
It just sort of presupposes you're going to be doing your thing, which is no guarantee. Your opponent's bringing in sideboard cards. And with the amount of anti-artifact stuff he has to bring in, I just don't believe that you can afford to keep that stuff in. Like, what are you cutting?
Hardened Scales is the play here for Lax. Looks like he's going to fire up the old Blinkmoth Nexus, and he's going to come in here with all the creatures. Shull's incentivized to block the Arcbound Worker, it being the largest of the bunch. And so now Lax is going to get a modular trigger. It's going to be a little bit of a bigger modular trigger because of Hardened Scales. And now the question is, where do I want to put it? Do I want to put it on a server, or do I want to put it on Blinkmoth Nexus? He's going to put it on the Nexus and pass the turn.
Yeah, I think Lax wants to put it on something where Conflagrate isn't interaction this turn.
There'll be a Dredge 5 here for Shull. Amalgams, Dark Blast among those cards. Remember, Shull has played all of the Ancient Grudges now this game. And it looks like he's just going to continue to dredge as well. Now, Shull's last turn was Grudge your Animation Module, play Stinkweed Imp. Stinkweed Imp did a decent job there. And we're going to see Stinkweed Imp arrive again. Now, if you're Ari, a lot of good draws in this spot.
Also, just the game kind of straight up is not going that badly for you. Shull can only defensively dredge the Stinkweed Imp for so long.
Tormod's Crypt's going to take care of the... Oh, excuse me. That is a Mirsha's Bauble. Ari not sure what he's going to do now. Well, what's interesting here as he plays the Forest is, you know, if I do attack, he's going to block my Blinkmoth, and he can assume the same position again.
Right.
We're going to see a dredge here of Life in the Loam.
And then at that point, your 2 servos are no good against the Stinkweed Imp.
Correct.
So you might as well wait.
And that's what Lax is going to do. What Lax is really looking for here, folks, he's looking for Walk-in Ballista. It'll be a game-altering play, as there's another copy of Stinkweed Imp. Shull will play a Mana Confluence. He'll fall down to 5, and he'll play Life in the Loam. Get a couple of lands back, will Kyle. And he'll pass the turn back. Don't know what Lax drew from the Bauble. He's drawn a Forest for the turn, though. And it's pretty clear to me. that he'll play a Darksteel Citadel and simply pass the turn back. Another great draw for Ari Lax in this spot is Dark Blast will be dredged. I was going to say it would be an Arcbound Ravager. It's gotten worse now. Dark Blast is going to take care of Servo Token. Creeping Chill in hand here for Kyle Shull. He could just hardcast that.
Yeah. The question is, do you start getting busy with one of the Stinkweed imps soon?
That's a pretty big ask.
It's just, you know.
No, I get it.
You got to start somewhere.
Well, here's Faithless Looting. That'll be flashback.
I guess Shull's probably also thinking that if he hits anything.
Oof, like 2 Creeping Chills?
I was going to say anything that gets the Amalgam going.
Sure.
Then you just overwhelm Lax pretty easily.
Sure. 2 Creeping Chills, not bad, though. Shill's going to go up to 11. Lax, of course, will lose 6. And now Dredging Loam. There's Narkme. But
that's the hit.
That's better.
That's the hit.
Yep. Shull has now created a battlefield. And now, again, Lax is in this situation where he really needs to find Walking Ballista.
And I think pretty much just Ballista. Hanger Back Walker, Arcbound Ravager, those cards aren't going to do enough here.
Yeah, they've gotten significantly worse. You can see there's certainly some power in this deck, this Hardened Scales deck, but it has not really shown itself as there is a force. Now, what do we got here? Because obviously he's drawn one of his 2-mana artifacts, and it is Ballista. Okay, so it's going to come with 5 counters. That's what he was looking for the entire time. Dark Blast is going to take care of the Servo Token. Is Walking Ballista good enough on its own to get this done?
Well, maybe on the previous turn, you would have the line you would have liked to see is the Ballistas be able to get the Stinkweed imps off the battlefield and then cruise across for lethal with the Nexus. Now that's off the table because Shull hit so many Creeping Chills the previous turn. But it still might just be able to manage the battlefield on its own.
Dredge Loam will Shull. Keep in mind, Shull does have a copy of Conflagrate in the graveyard, and he can build a pretty big one.
Also looks like he has a Creeping Chill in his hand, too. So he might just be able to attack and burn Lax out.
Yep.
Got 6 mana, so he can cast both.
Here come the Knuckleheads.
I like this attack from Shull. Just whatever Lax does, you can either finish off the Ballista or kill Lax, depending.
6 damage will be coming across right now if Lax does nothing. But Lax looks like he's going to do something. Keep in mind that Walking Ballista that's on the battlefield right now has 5 counters.
You know, from Lax's perspective, you know, you would like to see just shoot down the Narcomoeba, take the hit, and keep the Ballista around, but that just might not be possible.
He's going to shoot down all the flyers. 3 damage is going to come through. Lax is going to fall down at 11. We're all tied up right now as far as life totals are concerned, but Shull's got the better battlefield position. Now again, Shull's got to be pretty careful here because I believe, I can't say with absolute certainty because the math of this deck gets a little weird, but I believe that if Lax draws a Ravager, Shull would die.
Could you cushion yourself from that by just casting the Creeping Chill?
That's the question. Because right now, remember that this this Blink Moth Nexus, that's a 5-power creature. See, Shull's going to take some damage here to play a Creeping Chill.
Yeah, because the Ravager has 3 Citadels it can eat.
Yeah,
So
if it's
2, 4, 6. 8 and then 10. I think Ravager is good.
Ravager or Stirrings are the draws that Lax is looking for. He'll sweat it out a little bit. I don't think he found it. It's a welding jar. And that'll do it. Kyle Shull is going to win this game and match here over Ari Lax. 2-0. Dredge will take care of Hardened Scales. 2 good draws and some excellent play there from Kyle Shull means that he is 2-0 here in Baltimore.
So Lax's line there, he gets to pick between the two kind of on the second turn of the game. Either I can Tormod's Crypt you, try to cut you off of a grudge and slow you down a little bit, or let you grudge me some and save the Tormod's Crypt for when you're going to push forward and get some creatures onto the battlefield.
Yep.
He chose the second path and then kind of flooded out and couldn't grind through all the shatters he played against.
Yeah, the plan was, you can shatter this. He played Steel Overseer, let it get shattered. Then he played Steel Overseer and Animation Module and said, okay, you have to find another shatter, or Ancient Grudge in this instance, to take care of that, which did happen. And now Lax is basically saying, okay, so whatever my next thing is going to be good.
Yeah.
And I've got this Crypt for protection, and he just never found that next thing.
Yep.
That was the big problem there for Ari Lax. So Kyle Shull does win that game and match there over Ari Lax 2-0. Dredge, at least in our feature match area, pretty well represented here in Baltimore. So we get ready here for our next match. We'll be heading that way in just a moment. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything on the old bingo board. I will say, Nick, Chalice of the Void, no one even plays that card anymore. Can we get that? Was there a spell played in the draw step?
No.
No? Because Creeping Chill not playing a spell.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make sure. No inventions that I saw.
No.
No? No kicking of a spell. What's kicked in Modern?
A card with kicker that gets cast at all.
No, yeah. Is there, yeah. It's like, I'm trying to think of a card that
occasionally you see a stray Burst Lightning in someone's blue-red list. It's very, very few cards. Very few cards.
Come on.
Yeah.
Burst Lightning?
It's a card that, there are Burst Lightnings registered in this room right now.